Welcome to this video, dear learners. This is your tutor Michael, and in this video we're simply going to look at a continuation of protein. So if please you haven't watched our previous videos, I can advise that you watch the previous videos before starting this video on proteins. So we have been discussing nutrition, and we said nutrition is simply the process of obtaining what we call nutrients, okay? What we call nutrients, and these nutrients we obtain them from foods, okay? Some part of some nutrients are made in our body, but a great number of nutrients we simply obtain them from foods. And among those nutrients, today we'll be discussing proteins, okay? We'll be discussing proteins. So proteins, this is a nutrient, okay? Proteins are nutrients, okay? The simple definition, they are nutrients, okay? They are nutrients, okay? A nutrient is anything which when you take in your body, it will provide your body with a certain requirement. It could be to give you energy, it will make you grow, it will keep your body strong, okay? All those are nutrients, okay? So proteins are also nutrients. Now, proteins are a type of nutrients that are made up of some elements, about 4 elements, okay? But they're also, so we can say proteins contain, okay? So we can say proteins contain, okay? Proteins contain, they contain carbon. Carbon is an element, hydrogen, just like we discussed on carbohydrates and lipids, also oxygen, okay? And okay, another thing that they contain is nitrogen, okay? Is nitrogen. Okay, so these are the elements, okay? These are the elements that make up what we call proteins, okay? So these elements, they make up what we call proteins. So you have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, okay? Nitrogen, okay? Sorry, I didn't complete the word nitrogen, okay? So these 4 elements, they make up the basic structure of what? Of a protein, okay? It's protein, okay? So we can say also, you have some other type of proteins, okay? Other type of proteins that can also contain sulfur, okay? Sulfur, also phosphorus, okay? Also phosphorus, okay? And other types of proteins, let's give examples. For example, we have this protein found in red blood cells. We call this hemoglobin, okay? Hemoglobin also, apart from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, it also contains iron, okay? It also contains iron, and it's very important for us to know that iron is found in hemoglobin, okay? This is found in red blood cells, okay? It is what helps to transport oxygen in a red blood cell, okay? We can also talk of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, this is found in plants, okay? Chlorophyll, it contains a certain element, magnesium. Very important for you to know, magnesium. So you see that proteins are made up of quite a number of elements, and it depends with a certain type of protein being discussed, okay? But the major ones we want to focus on is that they contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, okay? So those are proteins, okay? So now, before we go any further now, what are some of the foods that you can eat so that you can obtain these proteins, okay? Foods that contain, or what we call sources, okay? What are some of the sources of proteins? Okay, so sources of proteins, there are quite a number, okay? There are quite a number, okay? Sources of proteins, you have meat, okay? Meat is a source of protein. Fish, Okay, fish is also a source of protein. You also have milk, eggs. Okay, even legume seeds. Okay, legume seeds. So examples of legume seeds, these are things like beans, peas, etc. Okay, etc. Okay, so these are some of the sources of what, of proteins. Okay, this is where you can get your protein. Okay, once you eat any of these things, you are going to acquire what, proteins in your body. Okay, so now before we go any further, again, let's first discuss how these proteins are made up. Okay, so we have what we call building blocks. So just the name itself shouldn't confuse. A building block, just the same way you can think of a house being built, they first have to make what, blocks. Blocks are what to make the house. Okay, so now building blocks of proteins, what are the blocks that are making up, what are these blocks that are making up a protein? Okay, so building blocks. Okay, building blocks. Okay, so the building blocks of a proteins are called amino acids. Okay, these are the building blocks. Okay, because these are the blocks, when you put them together they make a protein. Okay, so we call these amino acids. We call them what? Amino acids. They are the building blocks of proteins. Okay, we call them amino acids. Okay, so now what do I mean by building blocks? So what I mean is that if you get an amino acid, okay, plus another amino acid, plus another amino acid, okay, you add these, I call them blocks because you're adding them, then you're going to get a protein. Okay, that's what we mean when we say building blocks. Okay, they are the building blocks of what? Of proteins. Okay, are the building blocks of proteins. Okay, so now when we look at these amino acids, okay, when we go into amino acids, we are going to find out that we have two types of amino acids. Okay, we have two types of amino acids. Okay, we have basically what? Two types. Okay, so these two types of amino acids, we have one type is called essential amino acids. Okay, essential, so when I write AA, I mean amino acid. Essential AA and non-essential AA. So these are the two types of amino acids. So those amino acids we call essential and those we call non-essential. Now what is the difference between the essential and the non-essential amino acid? What is the difference? Okay, so let's start with the essential amino acids. Okay, essential, so essential amino acids, essential AA, okay, they are called essential amino acids. And this is when you say something is essential, means it is very important. Okay, so essential amino acids are those that the body cannot synthesize. Okay, so I'm just going to write it simply here. Cannot be made by the body. So our body cannot make essential amino acids. So what's the solution? If your body cannot make amino acid, what is the solution? Okay, so they have to be taken in. They have to be taken in by diet. Okay, you have to take them in by diet. Okay, you have to take them in by diet because the body cannot make them. Okay, then the other one, non-essential. Okay, non-essential non-essential AA, amino acids. These, they are non-essential because they can be made by the body. Okay, so these, they can be made. So there are the two types of, so if I ask you what are the two types of amino acids, you are going to tell me essential and non-essential amino acids. Okay, essential and non-essential amino acids. Okay, so now let's look at what really goes on in amino acids. Let's just look at what goes on. This, for those doing chemistry, you're going to appreciate this. So when you have an amino acid plus another amino acid, okay, there will be a bond that is created between these two. Okay, there will be a bond that will be created by these two. Okay, so when you add amino acid to an amino acid, you get what we call a peptide. Okay, you're going to get what we call a peptide. Okay, we're going to go what we call a peptide. Okay, so a peptide, like for this one example, it is made up of two amino acids. Okay, you have two amino acids here. Okay, so you have two amino acids. Okay, two amino acids. So two amino acids, they'll make what we call a peptide. Since there are two, you can also say a dipeptide. Okay, dipeptide. Okay, so two amino acids. So a peptide consists of two amino acids. Okay, so called a dipeptide. Okay, a dipeptide. Okay, so peptides, they are made up of what? Two amino acids. Okay, now let's say you add, so I will just present them as AA. Amino acid plus amino acid plus amino acid plus amino acid. Okay, you get what we call, remember the terminologies, poly means many. Okay, so we're going to call this polypeptide. Okay, because it's made up of what? Many amino acids. Okay, many amino acids. Okay, so a peptide or dipeptide, two amino acids, if there are more than two, these are called polypeptides. Okay, they are called polypeptides. Okay, so now a group of these polypeptides now. Okay, polypeptides. So you have polypeptides now plus many polypeptides. It's now where you land on and get the final product, what we call proteins. So proteins are simply made up of many polypeptides. Okay, they're made up of many polypeptides. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the lesson. So the next thing we can discuss under proteins, what are the uses? Okay, what are the uses? Okay, what do proteins do to our body? Okay, so you can say functions or uses. Okay, functions, okay, functions of proteins. So the functions of proteins, number one, proteins are used, this is very important, okay, they are used for growth. Okay, growth and repair. Growth and repair of tissues. Okay, they are used for growth and repair of what? Of tissues. That's the major function of proteins. Okay, they are used for growth and what? Repair of what? Tissues. Okay, there are other uses. Okay, like for example, proteins are used for making, okay, making body chemicals. okay, making body chemicals. Okay, like what type of chemicals? Okay, head of things we call hormones. Okay, hormones, enzymes. You can see how important these things are. Also antibodies. We'll look at these things: hormones, enzymes, antibodies. We've also talked about hemoglobin, okay, etc. So all these are made up of proteins. Okay, so the two major functions of proteins: growth and repair of tissues, and also making what? Body chemicals such as hormones, enzymes, antibodies, hemoglobin. Okay, those are the uses of what? Proteins. Okay, so now we're done with proteins. Let's go to look at another type of nutrient. Okay, another type of nutrient that is very, very important. Okay, and this nutrient is water. Okay, this nutrient is called water. So water is also among the nutrients. This means that when we take in water, it provides us with a certain requirement that the body needs. So all these we're discussing, these nutrients, without them in our body, we're going to suffer from something. Lack of water, you suffer from a certain condition. Lack of proteins, you equally suffer from a certain condition. Lack of carbohydrates, you suffer from a certain condition called marasmus. Okay, so all these things are needed in our body. So water is this is one of the nutrients, and what we can say is that water it is made up of two elements. Made up of two elements. Okay, water is made up of two elements. And what are these elements? Hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, it's made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and the way it's shown in chemical symbol, it is H2O. Okay, this is what we call water. Okay, now water it has got a lot of uses in our body. Okay, our body uses water for a number of things. Okay, our body uses water for a number of things. Okay, so we're just going to mention some of those things. So uses of water. Okay, so here don't write uses like it is used for cooking, bathing. No, we are talking about uses that the body inside our bodies, when we drink that water, what happens? Okay, what happens? So number one thing to note is that water is a universal solvent. What is a universal solvent? Okay, what does it mean to be a universal solvent? It means that water is able to dissolve a lot of things. Okay, solvents, they dissolve things. Okay, so it can dissolve a lot of things. So it's a universal solvent. Okay, it is a universal solvent. Okay, and it transports. Okay, so universal solvent, you can say, and it transports. Okay, dissolved substances. Okay, to transport dissolved substances. Most of the substances in our body, you find that they are transported in water. Okay, another use of water, it's what we call thermoregulation. Now, thermoregulation, don't get confused. Okay, the word thermo comes from the word temperature. Regulation simply means control. So water helps in controlling temperature in our body temperature. Okay, it helps to control our body temperature. Okay, that's what we mean here. It helps to control the body temperature. Okay, so helps to control body temperature. Just to put it simply, okay, it helps to control the body temperature. Okay, it helps to control the body temperature. Okay, it is also involved in digestion. Okay, we are coming to digestion after this topic. It's also involved in digestion. Okay, involved in digestion. It is also involved in it's a component of many things, okay, that make up saliva, fluid. It's also found in blood. Okay, all those important uses of water. Okay, so if you don't take in water, lack of water, okay, we can say lack of water is called, so lack of water in our body is called dehydration. Okay, lack of water is called what? Dehydration. Okay, lack of water is called dehydration. Okay, so let's look at now another set of minerals. Here in this, we are going to discuss important nutrients we call mineral salts. Okay, mineral salts. Okay, we're going to discuss mineral salts. Okay, we call these mineral salts. All right, mineral salts. Mineral salts are inorganic substances, okay, that are required in the body in small amounts. Okay, so we need these things, okay, in our body. Okay, mineral salts. Okay, they're inorganic substances. Okay, so these we call them inorganic substances. Inorganic substances required. So these questions, they come in ECZ questions, paper 1. Inorganic substance required by the body. Okay, it's the simplest definition we can give for mineral salts. Okay, so they have a lot of functions. Okay, and we're going to look at them one by one. Okay, so among the mineral salts, let's start with what? Calcium. Calcium is an element, also a mineral what? Salts. Okay, calcium. Okay, so calcium, what is calcium used for? Okay, these are what I want you to know, the uses of these mineral salts. Calcium is used for formation of strong bonds. Okay, so formation of strong bonds, and teeth. Okay, calcium are used for formation of strong bonds and teeth. Okay, also used for contraction of muscles. Also used, okay, so used for nerve impulse, conduction of nerve impulse. Okay, sometimes to use as activator for certain enzymes. Okay, used as an activator for certain enzymes. Okay, so we've looked at the uses. So these are the calcium uses. Okay, the calcium uses. Okay, now where do we get calcium? Okay, how can you get, since we want to have strong bones, we want to have strong teeth. Okay, we want to have contraction of muscles. Okay, so where are we going to get these calcium. Okay, so sources of calcium. Okay, calcium, you'll find it in milk. This is it will ask you questions on sources: milk, meat, okay, eggs, okay, all these you can get them. Right? Okay, so now lack of calcium will result in a number of things. Generally, we can just say it results in this condition we call rickets. It's where their bones are not strong enough, hence they end up bending. Okay, they are weak, so it's a condition where the bones are weak. Okay, the bones are simply weak. Okay, so we've looked at calcium. Okay, another mineral, iron, very important. Okay, iron is a mineral. It is used. Okay, remember in our introduction we said on protein, said hemoglobin made up of iron, so used to form hemoglobin. Okay, it is used to form hemoglobin. Okay, so this hemoglobin we're talking about, if you haven't watched my previous videos on cells, specialized cells, you should go and watch the video on specialized cells to understand more about hemoglobin. But you can say it is found in red blood cells. Okay, hemoglobin is found in red blood cell. Okay, in red blood cells. Okay, RBCs. Okay, R stands for red, B stands for blood, C stands for cells. So it is found in red blood cells. Okay, and hemoglobin used for transportation of oxygen. Okay, so lack of hemoglobin or lack of iron. Okay, lack of iron, person will suffer from a disease. Okay, lack of iron causes what we call anemia. Okay, anemia. Okay, maybe if you want to be specific, different types of anemias, but this type of anemia is called iron deficiency anemia. Iron deficiency anemia. Okay, so now sources, where are you going to get this iron? So it's very important. Okay, sources, where do you get iron? Okay, iron, you can get it in meat. Okay, in fruits, some fruits contain iron, and also green vegetables. Okay, so green vegetables. Okay, and apart from this, we move further. We look at iodine. There are many types of minerals. We just look at a few. Iodine, okay, or iodine if you want. Iodine or iodine. Okay, so this one, it's a very important mineral in our body. Okay, it is used to form thyroxine, and we'll look at thyroxine. So thyroxine, it's a hormone. Okay, it is used to form thyroxine. Okay, used to form thyroxine. Okay, so if you lack this iodine, okay, lack of iodine, you have people that suffer from what we call a goiter. Okay, they have a goiter. It's swelling. Okay, swelling here on the neck. Okay, a goiter. Okay, where they swell in the neck. Okay, then another, maybe the last mineral that we are going to look at, it's called phosphorus. The phosphorus is very important. Okay, very important. very important mineral in our body. Okay? Phosphorus is very, very important. Okay, so it is used to form what we call ATP. ATP is the energy currency in our body. Okay, the energy currency in our body. So used to form. What does ATP mean? It means adenosine. A means adenosine. T means tri. Okay, then P means phosphate. Okay, so phosphorus is used to form ATP, what we call adenosine triphosphate. Okay, adenosine triphosphate, and this is used for what? Energy. Okay, energy in our body. Okay, energy in our body. Okay, so sources. Okay, sources include meat. Okay, also we can talk about for phosphorus. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. We've looked at nutrition, just a continuation. We started with proteins. Okay, we looked at sources of proteins, the building blocks of proteins, the functions of proteins. Okay, and then we looked at water. Okay, and the functions, and we talked about some mineral salts like calcium. Okay, calcium, iron. Okay, talked about iodine and phosphorus. So in our next video, under nutrition, we are going to talk about vitamins and roughage.